You're looking lovely. You're looking lovely. You too.
Beautiful family.
Get a chance to meet them? Have you met them yet?
I met your wife one time before
Okay.
years ago, and then I just chatted with her now.
Got it.
And then I actually brought one of mine, begrudgingly in the corner. Oh, but your wife said that she likes his sweatshirt. Because she's from
Eagles,
Jersey too,
yeah.
right?
She's from Philly.
She's from
Philly straight
Philly,
up,
straight
yeah.
up. Oh, I thought it was the Atlantic City thing.
Yeah,
but
it's
she's
me.
from-
I'm the Atlantic City. Yeah, so
Where in Philly?
she grew up right outside in Southampton.
Yeah.
But she also, because for whatever reason, she wanted to go to high school in the city, so she went to. Rachel, where did you go? North Philly High? No, you went to Washington, right?
Thus, my son, and absolutely. That little thing. I think I'm good. Just another sip of my hot water. And so, because she said 3 to 5 minutes, it's a little long-winded, so it's like 5 minutes and 15 seconds.
That 5 and 15 good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I try. I can't tell you how much I cut off. So I'm like, oh, but this and this, and then I wanted to say nice things about them, but then they asked me to have a message, and so it's hard to. Good evening, everyone. Hi. How is everyone tonight? Good. Yes, and happy holidays to all. My name is Whitney Kernodle. I see here on the program that I'm called a civic leader, which is a little bit bothersome for me because I like to think of myself as more of a revolutionary or an agitator, una luchadora. But what makes it so troubling is that when I go to Katie Crystal or to Kristen Dorsey with my ideas of agitation, whether it's criminal justice or housing or the school systems, they're totally in agreement. They love all of it. And so it's really difficult to consider yourself an agitator when you've got like great progressives who want to do the same exact thing that you want to do. So thank you for that to both of them. I've lived here in Arlington for almost 15 years. I moved here as a newlywed with my husband, Rob, and with my first son on his way. That son, Jackson, is now a freshman at Wakefield in the immersion program. His brother Sawyer is currently a 7th grader at HB Woodlawn. I'm incredibly honored to introduce Katie and Christian, two friends and admirable statesmen, at their swearing in today. Katie has been a champion for women's issues, including reproductive health, political representation, and support for survivors of sexual assault, for well over a decade. Katie's consistently forthright and honest, but she tells it like it is while flashing that brilliant smile. That brilliance is equaled by her quick wit and an engaging spirit. Now, Katie has experienced a few changes since her first inauguration, and watching her fulfill her duties as our county board member with baby Carrie in tow has been so very impressive. Katie illustrates to all of us the power of commitment, hard work, and the ability to multitask. She's a source of inspiration to us all, but particularly to young women who refuse to sacrifice a fulfilling career in efforts to be an extraordinary mom. Throughout his career, Christian has been committed to improving the Arlington community in a plethora of ways, whether it be promoting literacy development for children, providing essential community services at Green Valley, or serving on a long list of boards of community groups and nonprofits. Christian has made his mark on ensuring Arlington is a great place for everyone. Christian is accessible. You reach out to him, you hear back, and he listens. He really listens. Even when it's an issue that may not be close to his heart, he takes time for his constituents to engage with them about what really matters most to them. But what I respect most about Christian is that he's courageous. He's not afraid to have difficult conversations, and he's a true leader in that. He walks a true progressive walk with his values, witnessed most recently in his equity platform that he's ushered in as chair. We live in Arlington, consistently lauded for its high-quality public schools, its low crime rate, the abundant nightlife options, walkability. We live and work in one of the greatest tourist and travel destinations in the world. Now, no city is a utopia. Arlington has some real challenges. Like elsewhere in Virginia, we have to come to terms with a history mirrored in white supremacy. We have problems inherent to our criminal justice system. Like all cities, we struggle with concerns like homelessness, aging, addiction, affordability, and housing. But Arlingtonians persist in having a positive vision for our future, and we have the resources to do well. So in 2020, with the dawn of a new term for these two county board members and a new decade for us all, how do we deliver the Arlington that we know and love into the future? We do this by prioritizing the 3 C's concept of civility, compassion, and the common good. The golden rule asks us to treat others as we wish to be treated. Our political discourse and ideas about how our society should operate must always consider compassion for others, including our elected officials, but most especially for those who suffer greatly. While reasonable people can certainly disagree about strategies related to refugees, the poor, the disabled, the undocumented, and people of color, treating everyone with compassion should be expected not just from our politicians, but from the public in general. Many of us weren't born in Arlington. Many made a concerted decision, a well-researched decision to move here, just like I did. It is a privilege to live in Arlington. But then it's up to us to not just move to Arlington and feel entitled to all of her resources. Arlington has the most educated parents in any community in the country. We're some of the healthiest people in the land. We come with so many gifts and talents. We must combat the urge to focus only on what is in our own best interest in terms of our own financial well-being, our own personal ambitions, and those we have for our children. The goal must be to use these gifts to make the community stronger. So Katie and Christian, thank you so much for your service to date and for your continued commitment to our community. You're both fine examples of men and women who give the best of themselves to public service. It is based in no small part on your efforts that Arlington is and will continue to be the best small city in America and the place where we are all delighted to call our home. Thank you so very much. All right, now, please welcome the Arlington County Combined Honor Guard, followed by the national anthem performed by Mayari Losa and the Pledge of Allegiance read by Mila Dorsey.
Colors. Halt. Present. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Right. Face. Present. Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right shoulder. Arms. Right. Face. Forward. March.
That was all awesome. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Charlene Bickford, the chair of the Electoral Board, followed by Paul Ferguson, the clerk of the Circuit Court for Arlington County and the City of Falls Church.
I'm very pleased to be here today on behalf of my colleagues on the Arlington Electoral Board, David A. Bell and Scott McGarry, to represent our board. We are the people who oversee the fabulous team down the hall. And we have all these legal responsibilities that are in the code, but mainly we just have the fabulous support of our wonderful team and the county's support so that we're able to do this job very easily. And we know from other people around the state that this is not always the case. So we certified this election that was held on November 5th, 2019, and determined that Katie Crystal was duly elected as a member of the Arlington County Board for her second term, which begins on January 1st, 2020, and ends on December 31st, 2023. So, Katie, you're first. And since this is a two-person year, or two-member year, we also certified the re-election of Christian E. Dorsey to the Arlington County Board for a term beginning January 1st, 2020, and ending December 31st, 2023. Congratulations.
Thank you. I like that.
Hello, Paul Ferguson, clerk of the Circuit Court for Arlington County. It's my honor to get to introduce some of the elected officials that are here before I administer the oath. So I think Eric Gutschall is here from the County Board, and Vice Chairman Libby Garvey is here from the County Board. Is Matt DeFerrante here? Matt DeFerrante is right there. So all the County Board members are here. We've got County Manager Mark Schwartz is here. Our Chief of Police, Jay Farr, is there in the back. Our Commonwealth Attorney-elect, Parissa Degani-Tafti, is there in the back. And our former County Board Chairman and my former colleague, Jay Fassett, is there next to Eric. Thanks to all of you for being here. With two county board members being elected, it's always a dilemma which one goes first, but Christian, ladies first, and alphabetically C goes before D. So that's what I've got in the video. Okay, so that's, even though you are the chairman. So, but I would ask Ms. Crystal to please come forward with her son and her husband. Thank you. Would you raise your right hand? I did the same thing, actually.
So used to the left being dominant in Arlington.
Right.
So.
Do you, Kate Crystal, solemnly swear or affirm that you will uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Arlington County Board for a term commencing January 1st, 2020, and ending December 31st, 2023, according to the best of your ability?
I do.
Congratulations once again. Just need you to sign.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that's my fault. My fault. Thank you, Katie. And I'd like to ask Mr. Dorsey to come forward with his family. Make sure you have your assistants ready.
All right, you got that? Okay.
Okay. Mr. Dorsey, would you raise your right hand? Do you, Christian Dorsey, solemnly swear or affirm that you will uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and you will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the Arlington County Board for a term commencing January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2023?
I do so affirm.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
And you sign right here. Thank you, Christian. And I'll hand it back over to Whitney.
Thank you, Paul and Charlene, and congratulations to Katie and to Christian. Next, we have the poem If by Rudyard Kipling from Jordan Dorsey.
Mila, Carrie, and I dedicate this to my dad and Katie. If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all persons doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph in disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with rulers nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all people count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is earth and everything that's in it.
Thank you so much, Jordan. That was really well done. All right, and now we will have some remarks by Katie, and then followed by some by Christian.
Jordan, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see you all here. We truly appreciate your joining us. I've been reflecting, as you might imagine, on some of the differences between being sworn in for the first time and being sworn in again 4 years later. Someone at an event I was at previously just joked. They supposed it didn't take the first time, so we have to try again. But one of the ones that is more personal, but certainly most important to me, is actually my relationship to this dais behind us. Because in 2015, this felt like something of a prop, a place to drape bunting, a set of seats that belonged to our predecessors. But by 2019, I know this platform like the back of my hand. We've made public policy here. We've celebrated the culmination of hard-won achievements here. Here we have limped our way through compromises that satisfied no one at 2 a.m. There have been many weeks where I spent more time on this dais than at my kitchen table. There have been a couple of rough stretches where I spent more time in that seat than in my bed. But over the past 4 years, the most meaningful time that I've spent on this dais has been with kids. Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts working on their citizenship badges, classmates assigned a government project, even 1 or 2 individuals or sets of siblings just really interested in how local government worked. Those kids are after my own heart. And if you're coming in from my office as a kiddo, you're probably getting a tour of the boardroom. And of course, it's not a tour unless you get to sit in those seats and preferably test out whether the microphones are on. It's a great opportunity to explain how our government works and how the board makes decisions. There, the public speakers queued up to tell you to vote yes, vote no, vote defer, and why. There, the county staff, the professionals who've studied the issues and shaped the recommendations before you. At that table, the citizen commissioners who've considered the topic amongst themselves and offer you their ideas. Every time I watch elementary schoolers or middle schoolers sit there and take in the rows of seats, consider the idea of a speaker standing at the podium or what it would mean to argue their points to their colleagues at their sides, I am renewed in my faith that in Arlington, we have the basic democratic fundamentals to shape the kind of future that we want for these kids. And watching them, I am reminded to be bold in this next four-year term, because the heat waves and the famines and the floods that the climate scientists predict, absent aggressive action to reduce carbon emissions, that will be in their lifetimes if we and thousands of other communities like us don't realize our ambitious carbon reduction goals. Whether we have the courage to confront the role that our own zoning ordinance plays in the regional housing shortage and in the perpetuation of neighborhood-based racial exclusion, that will shape their ability in the coming decades to put adult roots down here. The regional infrastructure that we build or we fail to build today, that will be their infrastructure and the one that their kids will inherit too. I still feel awe and gratitude when I sit at this dais or at a regional table representing Arlington County, that the people of this community have trusted me with the stewardship of its extraordinary legacy, at least until the next generation is ready to inherit the mantle. And so I am here today mostly to say thank you. If you have trusted me with your vote to represent you for another 4 years, or even if you didn't and you're just stuck with me for another 4 years, thank you. I am grateful. And speaking of gratitude, nobody gets through an election alone. Certainly no one has a record to run on for re-election alone. And so I want to give credit to a few places where it's due. To my campaign team, managers, and power volunteers, especially Mark, Maureen, Matt, Nora, and Molly, the Arlington Democrats, and the joint campaign. I think the term wind at your back was coined for the feeling of being your nominee. I want to thank the county staff, those who are working in this building, working at our trades and human services centers, at our firehouses, and at our courthouse in ACPD uniforms and CPHD polo shirts. Your dedication, your intelligence is extraordinary. I have learned so much from you. The county board office staff, and Amina, especially Mason, Mary, and Kendra in particular, thank you so much, and thank you for putting on this event today, an occasion to celebrate. I want to thank my thought partners, including my colleagues, Eric, Matt, Libby, Christian, our partners on the school board and in the constitutional offices. I'm grateful for my friends who are joining me in current service, fighting to make sure we get Arlington's future right for our kids, and those who have walked these steps before, even when your counsel is sometimes just lobbying, Paul and Jay, you're almost always right. And particularly, when it comes to thought partners, to Carrie Johnson, whose advice I miss every damn day, and whose legacy of citizenship I hope I can do justice in passing on to my son. I want to thank everyone who serves on a commission or a civic association or leads a nonprofit. You educate me every day on the meaning of biophilia or the nature of the Auxiliary Grant Senior Assisted Living Program or the history of Green Valley and a dozen other topics. Thank you for lending me and this county your expertise. And above all and always, thank you to my family, to my parents-in-law, without whose generosity of time and patience we could not have pulled off the impossible stunt of a baby in a re-election campaign in the same year. To my mom and dad, who have emphasized service and the value of a job well done. It means the world to me that you all are watching, even if it's just to make sure that I remember to put on lipstick, Mom. Steve, I joke often that this all-consuming, not very remunerative job leaves you with the raw deal of being our family's primary breadwinner and primary caregiver. But that's actually a flippant way of acknowledging the much more meaningful truth. You make everything possible. I love you and Carrie so much. If he is why I am doing this job on the county board, then you are how. And a big thank you to everyone who has joined us today. That dais and this boardroom is yours as the people of Arlington, and I promise to do my best to represent you for the next 4 years.
Thank you all for being here this evening. I'm certainly thrilled that this community re-elected Katie Crystal to the county board, and I'm happy to ride her coattails and to be able to join her for another term. You know, it's not lost on me that in the course of the history of this county, it's having a county board, a history that goes back to 1932, even though there have been millions of people who have lived in Arlington, only 70 have, or thereabouts, have had the opportunity to serve in the positions to which we have been reelected. I am honored to be among such a fortunate few. But you know, as I thought about tonight, what there is to say, it's kind of difficult given that we often have an opportunity to say so very much in this very room. I really reflect that the story of these last 4 years is really not my own story. The work that I've contributed to and that I have been a part of has not been done in isolation. It's been done with Katie Crystal. It's been done with Libby Garvey and Eric Gutschall and Matt DeFerranti. And of course, before them, our former colleagues, Jay Fassett and John Weistat. Of the many things that I am proud of, each of them is inextricably linked with at least 3 of those other people. And it's a fantastic thing to be part of a group that I think has done so much for our community, and happy that if I've played a small role in that, well, that's something that's extremely profound and I am grateful for. And I, if left to my own devices, would begin to recite all of the things that I'm proud of, the initiatives or the actions or the votes or the priorities, and to talk about things like housing, where we've made some real improvements in the number of units that we're able to deliver per dollar, doing innovative things to meet the needs of our veterans community, locating more housing near transit. Those are all really good things. I could also talk about economic development, vacancy rates, right? They're going down. That's a real accomplishment, something that I love talking about. Or I could talk about human services and some of the real ways we've taken our government resources and targeted them to provide the real needs of people in Arlington who are struggling. But even though that's my want, that's my usual thing, I'm not going to do that tonight because that's not really what I'm feeling this evening. What I'm actually feeling is born in the images that have been recurring through my brain this afternoon. And the images that I most associate with these last 4 years are the many times that we've had the opportunity to visit the opening of a renovated or newly constructed park facility, like Guy Land when I was with you at the newly remodeled Fairlington Park and Playground, where you get to see Arlingtonians of all views and hues gathered together in the spirit of play without thinking of anything difficult or anything contentious, but enjoying each other and enjoying the spirit of community. The other image that I have are the dozens of people, maybe many dozens of people, in this very room in March. I have indelibly etched the jeers and the sneers on their faces as we deliberated Amazon coming into Arlington. Etched in my mind, the Arlington County staffer who had watery eyes as he took down one of the last vestiges of Jefferson Davis's name on an Arlington County roadway. And all of these images, I am just so grateful that these are a part of my memory, that I got to experience everything that went into not only those circumstances, but the feeling behind them. And it's with a profound sense of gratitude that I join you here tonight, grateful that the Arlington community reelected me, but grateful more that I get to do something that I deeply, deeply love. Trying to serve this community to the best of my ability. Profoundly grateful that I've had an opportunity to interact with the county manager and his very talented staff who work so hard, often with much grief and very little credit, to move our county forward. So incredibly grateful that we have had so many people in our community when I was very low who decided that they were going to do all they could to personally lift me up. The sense of gratitude is deep, it's profound, but of course, it extends to the people who get to see me warts and all most often, the people in the county board office, Krista Jones, Kendra Jacobs, but to everyone else, Joan, Angela, Amina, Kathy, Mason, Mary, who is not here, who's on vacation, well-deserved, by the way. They get to help me do everything that matters. And then, of course, the people who matter most of all, my loving family, Rachel, my beautiful dear wife, and my darling children, Jordan and Mila. Wow, you two have changed a lot in the last 4 years. Mila, I have visual evidence. You were actually in your mother's arms 4 years ago. That is physically impossible today. Jordan, I have visual proof that you were substantially shorter than your mother 4 years ago. Well, we know what time it is now, right? But I thank you so very much for reading that poem by Rudyard Kipling, which reminds us that no matter how many times people call us the honorable this or that, defer to us or put us in big chairs on raised platforms, that at the end of the day, we only do this job best when we recognize what this job is all about, service to people and service to our community. So I thank you for that reminder, and I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to continue to do what I love. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. I'd like to say thank you to Whitney Kernoodle, the Arlington County Honor Guard, Ms. Loza, Mila and Jordan Dorsey for participating in tonight's ceremony. Thank you, Charlene and Paul, for your service. And thank you to all the aides and staff of the County Board Office. So thank you all for coming out, and please enjoy the refreshments in the atrium, mingle, talk to our board members. Thank you.